Hey there guys, and welcome back. On this week's show, a business card holder. Well, this project is a fairly easy one and it opens itself to all levels of woodworking skill. So it's a great one to showcase on the program, and it's also a great one for a gift for that businessman in your life or businesswoman. Guys, it all starts off by choosing some stock. Well, I've gone over to the wood rack and found some scraps of maple and walnut, and you're going to want to try to pick out the most interesting scraps that you can. This here is actually curly maple, and it has quite an incredible and gorgeous grain that gives that iridescent kind of finish. So we're going to choose this for the base. It's a little rough right now, but we're going to mill it down, and I think I'm going to do this for the most part with some hand tools, and we're going to get this down to its final dimension here of 5 inches long, 3 inches wide, and roughly about a ½ inch thick if we can. For the uprights of the business card holder, again, this one here on this one side is looking a little rough. No big deal, nothing some hand tool work couldn't fix. And we're gonna mill this down so that the stock ends up to be 5/8 of an inch thick and 3/4 of an inch wide. After we get that done, even though I said this is mostly hand tools, we're gonna take this piece over to the table saw. Well, I've raised the blade in the table saw to 1/4 inch high, and we're gonna set the fence so that it's roughly centered. Now, it doesn't have to be perfect, but try to eyeball it as best you can. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna run this through, spin it at 180 degrees, and run it through again, and then we're gonna measure. And what we're looking for is a dado in here that is roughly 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. We know it's going to be 1/4 inch deep. It's just how wide you end up making it. So if it ends up to be a little more than 1/4, that's okay. It just means it holds more business cards. So don't get too hung up on that measurement. So let's get the dado cut. So on our end with the dado, or our side with the dado, we're going to measure up 1 3/4 of an inch. We're just going to mark that off there. And then with our bevel set to 15 degrees, we are going to mark where to cut that. So we'll just line up our bevel here with the edge. You know what? I'm left-handed. I don't know why I'm trying to do this right-handed. All right, so we'll line this up with the edge. Once we're happy with that alignment, we're gonna mark our 15 degrees. Just like that. Then we're gonna square it off again and repeat the process, cutting a second piece like this at 15 degrees. Well, these are now the uprights that are going to hold our business cards. So we're just going to give them a really good sanding and try not to take off this sharp edge at the bottom because it's going to be mating with our base. So we'll try to keep that sharp, but the rest of the edges we can soften as best we can without losing the sharpness of our design. Well, with our two upright pieces done, we want to turn our attention to the base. And as I said, this is a scrap, so there's a lot of imperfections up here that I just wasn't able to plane out. I actually went below my desired thickness. I wanted 1/2 inch. I ended up closer to 3/8. But I'm okay with that. I mean, it's a gorgeous piece of wood. So I've got a really great section of grain here that I want to use because I think it's going to be spectacular. So I'm just going to mark it off here where I want to have my work area. And as I said before, we're going to make this 5 inches long. So I'm going to mark this here, and we need to mark our front profile. And it's really nothing fancy, it's nothing crazy, it's just a curved radius there. That is all it's going to be. It's just a slight curved radius. So we're going to draw that on, and from there we're going to cut it out. Well, the next step that I want to do is I want to add some decorative plugs out in the front of our piece. So from 2 inches from the back edge, we're just going to draw a line here. Let's put some lead out of our pencil and then we can draw a line. Oh my goodness. I'm not starting this clip over. I'm going to keep going here. I should have just clamped it in the bench. I don't know why I'm trying to work all freehand like this. That's crazy. Okay, so we've got our line drawn. And then all I'm going to do is I'm kind of eyeballing this here. What do I want? I'm going to say 1 inch out from the center line. So one there and one there. We are going to drill shallow 3/8 holes. One in the middle, one 1 inch out from the middle, and one 1 inch out from the other side. Just some shallow 3/8 diameter holes because I have some ebony I think that would look absolutely fantastic to be glued into those spots. So we're just going to center punch them and then drill these 3/8 diameter holes. Well, the bench is becoming a little too cluttered for my liking, so we've got all the parts that we need here, and I'm going to put all these tools away. We're going to erase these pencil lines, and once we do that, I'm going to get out my router and I'm going to put a 1/8 inch round over all the way around on both sides of our maple stock, and then we're going to cut our plugs. So if you haven't seen one before, this is a plug cutter, and it's kind of a weird looking drill bit, and you really want to have a stop and a fence set up here to help you hold this in place. It really likes to grab and toss this thing around. So we're just going to carry on and cut our plugs for this project. We're going to need 3 of them. We have our 3 plugs cut. This has been routed. It is pretty much ready to have the plugs installed. So we're just going to apply a little bit of wood glue into each of the holes and insert our plugs. Now we have Q-tips and water at the ready here to catch any kind of squeeze out that comes out of these. And we're basically going to put them aside, let them dry, and once they're dry, we'll come back to it. There's a couple more things that we can do with this project. They were all good until that last one, and that last one has a little tiny bit of squeeze out. So we're just going to get that out of there because that will definitely affect our finish later on. So there we go. All right, so put this aside now to dry, and we'll come back to it in a bit. Well, the average business card measures 2 by 3.5. So I have cut a piece of 1/4 inch MDF that is 2 by 3.5 plus a 1/16 of an inch. So that is going to be how we're going to measure to get our 2 uprights mounted. So you can cut this piece of MDF while you're waiting for your ebony to dry up. And honestly, there's not much left to do here at the moment other than wait. So I'll come back and see you once those pieces are dry. Well, the plugs are dried up, so we're just going to use a flush cut saw and cut the ebony flush to our maple. And then once we're done that, we're going to give it a good sanding. Well, what we're going to do now is just roughly place these blocks. We've got our mock-up business card there. We want to place these uprights at 5/8 of an inch back from the rear edge of our business card holder. So all I'm going to do is place one just roughly there. We're trying to center it up as best we can. We're going to take this one here and apply some wood glue to the bottom. Not a lot. We want to try to avoid squeeze out if we can. And again, 5/8 of an inch in from this edge. Sorry for getting my hands in the way here while I do this, but I'm doing my best. Stop yelling at me. All right. Oh my. All right, it's a little off center, so we're just going to push it back just a bit like this. And that's looking pretty good to me. We're just going to level out this one piece. Double check it that everything is nicely squared up. That's going to look really nice. Look at that. All right. So, let's clean up the squeeze out on this and then let that completely dry. Well, at this point, everything is dried up, and I just want to use a little bit of hot glue on the bottom and add some rubber feet to this. And I know, I've heard it before. Those rubber feet are self-adhesive. Yeah, I know that. I just don't like the adhesive. I think it's horrible. So I add a little extra of my own. You know, you don't have to do what the manufacturers sometimes say that you need to do. Sometimes if they say, hey, our adhesive is good enough for this, if your experience says that it's not, then modify it and do what works for you. And that's what I'm doing here. So I'm going to add these other 2 feet. And then we're going to get to my favorite part. And my favorite part is applying the finish. And the only reason that's my favorite part is because I know that we've got a lot of spectacular woods here. I know that we have got that curly maple. I know that we've got the ebony, and I know that we've got the walnut. and the contrast and the patterns between those three. I can hardly wait. This is going to be great. All right. So we're going to let that set up. We're going to pick off the strings of glue here that are characteristic of using a glue gun. And then we're going to get ourselves some Danish oil and apply a coating to this and get ready to be dazzled. Well, sometimes when you apply a finish, you never really know how the wood is going to react. But with curly maple, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a bad result. So I'm going to apply this finish here, and I'm going to do the bottom first, but I'm not going to show you until we get around to the top, because I think the top is going to be where the real magic happens here. And I don't know, you guys might think I'm a little bit loony for being excited about seeing a finish on a project, but wait till you see this. I mean, really. And this will just be with the oil. This won't even, you guys probably won't even get to see the finished product, which is going to have, of course, varnish on it. But the oil itself will give you an idea. Now just watch this. Look at that. Look at the way that ebony just like goes jet black. And look at those stripes and that line and that curly maple. Guys, that is unbelievable. That is just beyond gorgeous. Honestly, it really is. All right, so I'm going to finish applying this finish. And then after I'm done, I'm going to come back and see you and show you what we ended up with here. And there you have it. A business card holder. Guys, a very simple design, but a very effective one. And depending on your choice of stock, it can go from this level to this level, from hey, that's cool, to holy crap, that's gorgeous. And with this this build, I was able to choose some woods that, although they weren't the thicknesses and that sort of thing that I wanted, they had the grain pattern that brought this project to the next level. From the deep dark chocolate browns of that walnut to the jet black accents of the ebony, right down to that iridescent striped with a little bit of spalting in that curly maple. Oh my goodness. This is a spectacular looking project. I absolutely cannot wait to get some varnish on that and put it to use. Guys, I can't take credit for this design. It actually came from Canadian Woodworking and Home Improvement magazine, from one of their older issues. And it's a great magazine that I have subscribed to for a while now, and I thoroughly enjoy it. It's a reasonable price. I'll actually put a link to that down below so that if you guys are interested, you can look into getting a subscription of your own. They do have a lot of great projects and a lot of great articles. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this project. I've had a lot of fun making it. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the bell so that you don't miss the notifications of future episodes of the show. And guys, honestly, I hope you're going to try this project for yourself. If you've been saving that piece of wood, that special piece that you're waiting to find out what to make, this is the project, guys. Easy, simple design, and oh my goodness, the wow factor. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're going to join me again next week when I bring you yet another woodworking video.